I apologize there. Hello, my name is Dave Toll, and thank you for joining us. Today, we have an opportunity to highlight the Pablove Foundation and their mission to fight childhood cancer with love. We're going to take a close look at how Pablove is working to improve the lives of children living with cancer. We'll also delve into how funds raised are used to invest in cutting-edge pediatric cancer research. The Pablove Foundation has remained a vibrant and nonprofit since 2010 with a passionate and focused effort to combine science and art to improve lives. We will proudly show another Pablove effort to raise funds and awareness. That's Pablove Across America, just one example of how cycling and sport are part of our DNA at the Pablove Foundation. It's September, and it's time to be a hero for kids with cancer. You can harness your fitness goals and at the same time fight cancer with love. Your commitment to well-being will benefit not just you, but also children who are fighting for their lives. We are honored to have you join us for this Pablove Childhood Cancer Challenge. Your efforts will ultimately offer support to cutting-edge cancer research as well as amazing healing arts programs. So please go on Strava and join the Pablove Childhood Cancer Challenge. I'll see you there. You can also get involved by visiting pablove.org/challenge to donate or even create your own fundraising page. It's a lot of fun. I hope you do that. We'll have an emotional 90 minutes here today. What we're doing matters. We're going to meet some of our friends at the Pablove Foundation who are providing leadership on this mission. We're going to highlight the Next Level Shutterbugs program, providing healing arts through photography for kids with cancer. You'll get to meet our communities, the incredible and inspiring fundraisers, athletes, and artists. They all lean in for Pablove. We want you to feel welcomed and part of the Pablove family. If you don't already, you soon will. So let's get things started here with the video to see where it all began.
We started this foundation in an effort to stand up for people who don't have a voice, who are too beleaguered and beaten down to find a voice, and to do something to be seen and heard in this world in an area of life where children are diagnosed with a disease and they've done absolutely nothing to get it. By riding alongside 42 other people and hundreds of people over the past 8 years in total, I learned more about myself, I learned more about community, I learned more about people who are striving to do something that they didn't think their bodies could do. The audacity that it takes to get a kit on every day, no matter what the temperature is and no matter what the course is that day, it really, really blows my mind. And that personal quest that everybody on this ride is on feeds into the Pablove Foundation's mission, which is to stand up and do something.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Before I introduce our next guest here, Blair Herder, I wanted to jump in and send a big thank you out. Amy Myers, get this, Blair, $5,000 donation, and that's to honor Townsend Myers. He's one of our PAA riders. So what a great place to start. I'd like to welcome Blair Herder here, chairman of the Pablove Foundation. Hey, Blair, let's just get right to it. Talk to me about why this cause is so urgent.
Thank you for having me, Dave. Amy, thank you, Amy Myers, MD, for the donation, the support. Also, she makes brilliant protein bars that you should be eating in your hotel room on PAA at midnight after a long day in the saddle. So, Amy, we love you. Thank you. And Dave, again, thank you to you and the team for having us. And if I could take just one quick moment to thank the Pablove organization, the staff. I know you're all watching. I know these are uncharted territories for everybody across the world, and you're doing something new today. Ryan, Amanda, Bart, Lauren, everybody, thank you for putting this together. We love you guys. So just very quickly wanted to thank them. And why is it important, Dave? We could throw some stats out. Every day in America, 44 kids get diagnosed with cancer. Every 2 minutes around the world, a child gets diagnosed with cancer. It's the leading cause of death in children under the age of 15. The through line here is kids, right? Kids are our future. Kids are our most precious resource. We need to protect them. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Well, yeah, I really understand. Why do you see people getting involved? What inspires them? And on the flip side of that, what do you see them getting back here?
Yeah, I think people want to get involved again because children, right? It's very difficult to not want to help a child. I think that it takes like a conscious effort to like not want to help a kid, and most people won't make that decision. And I think right now the world is in a strange place, and there's a lot of things that are really out of our control. And this is a moment in time where you can control something. You can make an effort to give to an organization and to a cause that is trying to make a difference and help these beautiful children. And what you get back right now in this particular moment in time is that moment of control in your life. You are able to do something and make a decision. And then, of course, just the overall feeling of joy and gratitude that comes with giving in any capacity is just amplified in this particular scenario.
You know, Blair, I know we have a video to take a look at. Thanks a lot for that. And we'll be having you join us again. But let's go ahead and take a look at exactly what Blair is talking about.
You hold the camera and you see and you're just like, oh, this is perfect. You're just like, oh yes, it's just makes me feel proud of myself, and you just want to jump for joy. It's wonderful to relive a moment just through a picture.
I can really see some joy in pictures, you know, some sadness in pictures. I see strength and just feeling the warmth, the sun. I missed it. I was in the hospital so much. To give that environment to these kids is something else.
It helps me to look at those pictures and remember who took them. It reminds me that behind that flask of cancer cells that I'm trying to treat every day, there is a life that can be saved, you know, and that is really what motivates me every day.
I heard a spark, something that glowed 100 feet higher. I open my eyes when there is light to see if I'm closer.
It was very scary at first. The day they diagnosed me on a Friday, and that Monday I had to go into the hospital, get a portacath put in, and start chemo the next day, right away.
After being diagnosed, I was pretty lost when I was sick. I really felt that, you know, I was only treated medically. So now I work with an organization where through these three arms, through the arts, through photography, through the research, Pablove really does give them something great to do while they're going through this experience.
Pablove has been absolutely fundamental for me and for my career because the mechanism that I'm working on is completely novel. No governmental agencies would have funded. So it would have been like a nice idea that would have simply been kept in my drawer and nothing would have happened.
Tell me till
I feel that cancer gives people a unique perspective. When you're handed this camera and a mentor who is fully into what you're doing, I feel like it just opens up this whole world.
It's like cancer doesn't exist when you go to Pablove. They bring some light into your life. They make you have fun with all the kids around you and all the mentors. Everyone's there for cancer, but no one talks about it.
The shutterbug I'm working with, he's turned to me and he said, "This is the best day of my life." That is like the ultimate thing that we could ask for. And hearing that from him and seeing the smiles in the other kids is really what it's all about.
stopped just for a while to make it go slower.
My favorite is this one. I didn't know what to call it at first. Me and my mom were kind of pitching out ideas, and we finally came up with the light at the end of the tunnel. It's kind of dark, and you can see a little glimpse of light at the end.
When there is light, to see if I'm closer.
Wow. So before we bring on our next guest here, I want to thank a couple of his friends. Actually, this is a very strong community here that we're talking about with Pablove. The Viswanta family in the Bay Area just donated $2,500 a moment ago. And another friend of yours, Jeff, Scott Galante, just donated $1,000 during that video. So it's already giving me goosebumps here. We're now being joined by a very special person. Meet Jeff Castellas. Jeff is the father and co-founder of Pablove. With a lot of love, Jeff has co-founded the Pablove Foundation. He's the founder of Pablove Across America, which is an epic annual ride. It has the best vibe on earth. So Jeff co-founded the Pablove Foundation. And what better place to start our conversation than to learn about Pablove? Can you take us back and give us some of your memories?
Yeah, you know, Pablo really, and I've said this for years, he really is the inspiration for the energy and the spirit of this ride. He, 99% of the people who've ever done this ride never met him. The people who were his friends certainly carry this. He was fun and funny. I always say he never walked anywhere where he could run. And sometimes that was problematic as a parent, keeping him safe. He never passed up a wall or some stairs he could jump off of. He also could be very quiet and very introspective. Even as a little boy, for those of you who don't know, he was diagnosed when he was 5 and he passed away 6 days after his 6th birthday. So he was every bit the playful little boy. And he really, when he would walk into a room, or if you walked into a room he was in, you couldn't help but feel joy and really feel that energy of a little child.
Yeah, and that energy, I feel like, is in Pablove Across America now. Every single person that I've met who's been a part of that ride, even the support crew around that ride, carry Pablo's energy. It's absolutely incredible. I hear these amazing stories. Can you tell me so people are maybe learning about the ride, tell me what makes it a can't miss experience for you and so many others?
Well, Dave, I pulled a picture off the wall that I want to show you guys just as a footnote, an important footnote of my description of Pablo. This is him and I. Excuse me. How do I do this? I'm like watching.
That's
this is
perfect
him and I
right there. Yep.
This is him and I on the finish line of Tour of California 2009. You were there. This was at the Rose Bowl finish stage. We were. Lance Armstrong was in the race that year. He got us passes to go right up on the fence. And one of the race photographers, great guy, took this photo of us. And, that's Pablo going like, Papa, how long is this going to last? He's wearing his Mike in the Bike cycling cap. Michael Ward's children's book about cycling. You can see he's got his Tour of California bell that he was super excited to ring when the guys came across. And, there he is, man. That was him in sort of like resting mode. So that's him. And he, yes, the foundation is named after Pablo. And yes, the ride was started by me as his papa on my journey to understand where was he? Where did he go? Like, what can I do with my confusion to help other people? But Pablo, the little boy in this picture, represents, sadly and joyfully, thousands and thousands of other children. And I represent other parents around the world throughout the ages. And sadly, as Blair said, people who are joining this club today, tomorrow, the next day. I forgot your question. Can you ask me again?
Well, it's interesting. It's the worst club in the world to have to join, but it has some of the best people in the world in it. And I really look at you to talk about that club.
Yeah, like many other things in the world, and I am not going to get into politics and nonsense, but the moment in the world, this unique moment we're in right now with the pandemic, right? Funny enough, I could have shown you a photo of Pablo and I standing in front of our old house wearing masks when he was super immunocompromised, okay? And the only way he could go outside for a short walk was to wear a mask. And of course, I wore a mask as well. There was no way. I shaved my head when his hair was coming out. And the thing is like when we see a little child painting a mustache and a little smile on their mask, that's symbolic of people coming there, taking a week off of work, taking a week off of their families back at home, making arrangements with their significant other to say, hey, can you watch the kids? Can you be the one who does this solo? And people saying like, I'm going to make the best of this, and I'm going to go and dive my heart and my body and my legs and my soul into this thing to really focus on children who are suffering, and not only children, but families and communities. And it really, like the pandemic, can bring the best out of people. It really, really can. We are all alive in this world only once, as far as I know. Only once. And when we come across something, whether it's a religious organization, a charitable organization, or if in fact we are called to stand if ourselves or our family, that's where the rubber hits the road. That sounds like cycling, but I really just mean that as the old cliche. Every mile of this ride, and I've done every year, except last year when I broke my collarbone, I've worn, you're not going to be able to see it in detail, I've worn this medallion. This is Pablo's thumbprint, and it has his signature and his handwriting on the back. You're not going to be able to see it, so you're going to have to trust me. And many, many other people have carried photos of their children, their nieces, nephews, loved ones. They've carried things tied around the back of their saddle, their seat, dangling there to remind them and remind all of us. So I say to everybody who might be out there going like, well, gee, this is really sad. I don't know if I could think about this. Think about the joy it brings you to have purpose and to connect with inside you that you truly never knew you had. And also to see other people breaking through their physical limitations, people breaking through and being just destroyed and turned inside out at mile 50 of 80 in 95-degree temperatures. And they get to the finish and they are laughing their butts off. Sounds good to me.
It's all about.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll talk more about Pablove across America. The energy is incredible. I really, truly just stand in admiration of what you're doing, Jeff. I know that things over the years have changed, and you brought a new CEO on board. As we continue to fundraise and ride with Pablove across America, I know you're still all in, and I love that. But would you do me a favor and introduce us to Pablove's CEO?
I will. Give me 1 second. I want to introduce you to someone else. Paxton,
You
come here,
bet.
buddy. Come here. Well, he won't. Our dog is wearing a Love Across America jersey. My significant other, Erica, here put her jersey on Paxton and was amazed that her jersey fit him perfectly. He's too shy to get on camera. I want to say a few things about Kirsten before we go to her. Kirsten stepped into a maturing organization with a wonderful staff, and took on as the person who was stepping in as the leader after the founders started it, built it, and ran it. And that's always a very challenging role to step into, not only on a business level, to actually run a business and be a CEO to the outside world, but also she was stepping in to a culture within the staff and within the community. And as Pablove Across America is the main fundraising driver among many fundraising channels in the organization, she also had to step into this community and go on the ride last year with, over 100 staff and riders. And she has done an incredible job unifying and stepping herself in fearlessly into this big group of people who all know each other, some of whom know each other for 10 years. So with that, I want to say that for my part, as this thing is my baby, and it is named after my son, and it now belongs to the world. It does certainly never belong to me. And I welcome that. I want to introduce Kirsten, who's our not so new CEO anymore. And I want to have you guys meet her and hear her take on this organization. And I thank you, Dave, for your chat with me for all support over the years. It means a lot, man.
Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate it. This is Kirsten Lynham. So, Kirsten, welcome. That had to feel really good, that vote of confidence from Jeff. You know how passionate he is, and to get that support coming into what really is an incredible thing here with Pablove. So I know that as you take the job, it's been really tough times out there. How's it been for you guiding everyone through COVID?
Jeff already said that, and here's to you, Jeff. Thank you so much. Pablove does stand for love and joy, and we try to live this every day. Yes, it's kind of a rotten deal that everybody is getting right now, but compared to what cancer kids go through and their families, let's just buck up and go through it, soldier through. The kids are doing it with such grace, and they amaze us, the stories we see and hear and live with them. They're inspiring. And the least we can do is choose optimism as a choice and use hope as our strategy to create something that's worth their fight, and really deeply, sincerely, with all our might, show up for them.
When I see the work that you're doing there, things like the Shutterbugs program, it really gives me hope. Can you tell me more about what's going on?
Yeah, so COVID has been, of course, hard on us too. Not everything is rainbows and sunshine, obviously, but it's how do you choose to look at it? And we chose to look at it as a new canvas full of possibilities. And the Shutterbugs program in particular has undergone significant changes. Teamwork has been fantastic within the staff. There is such a sense of together we can. It's very, very fun to work with our team. And the Shutterbugs program now moved 100% virtual. We've talked about this for years, that we want for kids anywhere in the US, be able to join the Shutterbugs program. And we're making a huge, significant step toward that this fall by having translated our entire program into a virtual modality. And we're kicking it off this fall. We are super excited, and the feedback has been awesome.
I can only imagine how many families are going to absolutely fall in love with that program. That's incredible. They're going to learn what makes Pablove so special and unique. Can you tell me from your perspective what it's been?
There's the PAA piece, which is absolutely lovely and infectious, but it's the joy and the love. You find it in quiet places too. It's when you hear about the kids in the program saying, "Oh, this was really fun. I finally did something else, but think about my cancer." Or when parents reflect on their kids and tell us this is one of the first times I've seen them smile after the diagnosis. When you hear kids talk about their art and how deeply they get into it. The video had a segment of that where you just feel the artist in these souls speak about their discovery of what they can say with pictures. It's incredibly fulfilling, and it makes us all work even harder.
Yeah, and I know you're already working incredibly hard with so many other good folks out there, like Jeff. His love for Pablove across America is palpable, that's for sure. I see that we have a lot of ways to get people on board here with fundraising, things like a $25 pair of athletic socks, the really cool T-shirts for $40. We have a $60 Shutterbugs print. That's what Kirsten has been talking about. An $80 hoodie. It's an absolutely incredible cause. So please give now. You can visit pablove.org/challenge. You can see on the Chiron there, text for the kids to 56512, and also Venmo if that works for you at Pablove Foundation. So a lot of things going on. I did want to mention as well, I know a lot of your staff have been doing the ride with Strava, whatever type of fitness you're into. People have been getting out there, log 440 minutes. Go ahead and log 444 if you want, but you'll get a nice reward opportunity to win a 55 centimeter fixie bike. You can fundraise to help fight childhood cancer is the bottom line. And there's a lot of stuff like a trip for two to Hawaii or a BMC bike that you can end up winning. So there is no doubt that getting on board now and supporting Pablove Foundation is going to make a big difference. So yeah, getting back to that, Jeff's love for Pablove, absolutely amazing. But before we watch our next video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. It sounds like you got a chance to jump right in with Pablove across America. Your thoughts on that, Kirsten?
Oh, it's a love fest. It's crying, it's laughing, it's sweating, it's rejoicing together. Make no mistake, it's really hard to do this right, but we start every day with a dedication to a child who is or has gone through cancer treatments, and the entire event is just permeated by the mission, and that matters to us. And I think that is a big piece of what makes everything we do so special. We always come back to our mission. We always refer back to it. And that is what I think makes people come back to us as well. I will say nothing good happens in isolation. You do depend on teamwork and people coming together. And I think Pablove, the foundation, is just really good at it in finding new ways to engage with us. And thank you for making the call to action for us. Money does matter, and we really need it to continue our work. And together we're better. Together we're stronger, and together we can create something that we all want to look at and can be proud of.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kirsten. So perfect. That being said, let's jump right in. We have another incredible video to show you here.
Last year, for your previous ride and the 2 rides prior, we were actually in the hospital fighting for this little one right here. She was diagnosed with stage 4 high-risk neuroblastoma at 14 months old. She endured 6 rounds of chemotherapy, 2 stem cell transplants, 20 rounds of radiation, 6 rounds of immunotherapy and more chemo, 6 rounds of cis-retinoic acid. And just about 5 months ago, we completed her final round of treatment, and she is currently in remission.
I saw the stars right from the start. She said, boy, you look real good, but can you play the part? I saw her soul in the tread we lay. I stole 10 years, but she stole my heart from the very first day.
You always want to provide support for these people, but when nothing of this nature has happened to you or your family, it's really hard to comprehend. The fact that you're here doing what you do with all these great people, that's what it's all about.
This vagabond. All I have are these bones, this bag of bones, this bag of bones. All I have are these bones, this bag of bones, this bag of bones. All I have are these bones, this bag of bones, this bag of bones. All I have are these bones, this bag of bones, this bag of bones. All I have are these bones, this bag of bones, this bag of bones. All I have are these bones, this bag of bones, this bag of bones.
Wow. So while we're have a lot of things going on out here, one of them is a virtual ride on Zwift, and that includes a lot of the PAA, the Pablove Across America riders that we've been referring to. So kind of a virtual PAA going on right now. I do know that Townsend Myers, Roy Nickman, Ryan Kelly, Rusty Roussel, and Paul Adams, who we'll hear from in just a moment, are all out there. I'm being joined by my colleague and friend, Nathan Guerra. Nathan is at the controls, our producer, and is a mastermind of all things Zwift. So, Nathan, I think you've got Mari Holden as a ride leader out there. Bring me up to speed. How's everyone doing out on the ride?
Yeah, so Mari is out here. She's a ride leader out on Zwift. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at Zwift and see what's happening here. We actually organized a group ride virtually on this virtual platform. These are all real people riding along in real time alongside the ride leader as well as the Pablove Foundation. One thing we definitely want to highlight is the Pablove Foundation have their own account on Zwift that they're looking to make meetups for in the future. So if you want to join in and do more stuff with the Pablove Foundation specifically through this platform, go ahead and follow them on the companion app, on the Zwift app. Go ahead and download that Zwift app on your phone and go ahead and throw down that follow, because they're going to be organizing lots of meetups and other stuff around the foundation on the platform in the future. But they're doing good here. There's about a 90-minute ride. We're out on San Sequoias. You can see Mary Hildonen there in the background with the ride leader icon. A little bit of a breakup because there is a challenge going on for the fastest times through the sprints as well as the King of the Mountain. So with that, in honor of those King of the Mountains, there are donations coming in as well. So pretty cool little challenges that everybody's taking place in. So things got a little separated, though, out on San Sequoias. It's getting competitive. I'm seeing Gary Metcalf, Charlotte Backus is out here. I mean, some pro riders are showing up and getting involved in the fundraising. I'm loving it.
Hey, that is great to see, Nathan. Speaking about fundraising, holy cow. We just had a $10,000 donation come through. A huge thank you going out to Brian Bailey, as well as Simon Clarkson. Simon, that's awesome. Simon throwing $1,000 into the pot here for the Pablove Foundation. So we have a couple Olympic medalists out there with us today, Nathan. Roy Nickman won a bronze medal at the 1984 Olympics in LA, and then Mari Holden was down in Sydney. In Australia in 2000, where she won a silver medal. So we have a lot of horsepower out on that ride. Zwift is an incredible platform. We're out there almost every day. So that is really great to hear. The ride is going well. The fundraising is going great. So good job, everybody. Speaking of someone, Nathan, who's doing it all out there, that would be our man, Paul Adams. He's a Pablove board member. He's riding on his trainer. He was actually one of the riders that you would have just seen out there on Zwift. So Paul also is a huge part of the camaraderie and the vibe that we have. And that's a big part of this whole thing, Nathan, for sure, is community. Oh, okay. So you know what? Okay, you know what? Well, why don't I, while we have a moment here, and I know everybody is out there working hard on Zwift, I do want to remind everyone so that we, while we're bringing Paul back up, and that's the thing, remembering that all of these folks are reliant upon their internet. And so Paul is reconnecting right now, is what I'm hearing. He's on his bike riding hard. But while we get Paul back, the Pablove Childhood Cancer Mission. This is our Mission-Immersion live stream that you're joining us for. And I do thank you for that. You can really help. One of the easy ways to do that is get yourself some of our cool merchandise. You can get a $25 pair of socks, the $40 Pablove t-shirt. We've got the Shutterbugs prints. They're absolutely amazing. What these kids are doing, it'll blow your mind. And there's also an $80 hoodie that we offer. You can visit at pablove.org/challenge, or as you've seen, text for the kids, or go ahead and use Venmo. If that's your style, you can do that at Pablove Foundation. So thanks again, everybody. It is really great to know we have so many people out riding. So the Pablove Across America ride is an incredible experience. It was really cool to hear that Kirsten had a chance to experience that, the CEO of Pablove. When you look at it, there is a very interesting DNA that the Pablove Foundation has. And it's not just giving back. The power of being with like-minded people is really incredible. So it sounds like Nathan has reconnected with Paul here. So Paul is one of the brightest lights that we have in our family, the greater Pablove Foundation family. There we go. Good to see your smiling face, Paul. So Paul is part of the. Hello, my friend. Paul is part of the Screaming A's. I learned about.
There's no G. There's no G. No G. Just screaming. Screaming.
No G. Got you. I was too formal.
There you go.
Right. Hey, and maybe that speaks to. Yeah, it speaks to what it's all about, having a great time and not getting hung up on stupid things like G's, right?
Exactly. Who has time for G's? We're too fast for G's. We're already half a mile down the road by the time you get your G out.
Absolutely. So, Paul, the vibe, I mean, kind of an overused word, but that's what it's all about out there. I have a few different friends that have ridden with you, and they talk about that experience being life-changing, to tell you the truth. I mean, that's not overdoing it. That's for sure. Yeah. So, hey, first off, thank you. I think it's really, really cool that your sense of humor and your commitment seems to inspire other people. Can you bring us up to speed on, do I want to be a Screamin' A?
I don't know why you wouldn't. See, the thing with the Screaming A's is we ride, we raise money, but we smell the flowers. So, you're cycling through this beautiful countryside. Why wouldn't you want to enjoy it? Those speed demons, they just go too fast. They're not taking in the beauty of their surrounding. Why would you do that? Ride with us. Smell the flowers.
I bet you spend a little extra time and enjoy the bagel at the start of the ride and the coffee in the middle of the ride. So, it really is, when you look at it and you learn more about Pablove, it's a community of riders. And every community has different people with strengths in it. One of yours is definitely fundraising. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the secrets that you have?
I think make it personal is really it, which isn't really a secret. I spend time sending individual emails to people. I don't just do a dear all. I say, dear so-and-so, and then my first, paragraph is talking about what he or she and I have in common. So they know it's an email that I've sent directly to them. And I just get more take on from that.
Yeah, and ultimately, as time goes on, I think it's something, karma, goodwill, it really starts to build on itself, doesn't it, out there? That seems like the real strength of this community is the way everyone seems to treat each other. It just radiates out from the group.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, the community aspects of the riders that do this ride year in, year out it's almost undescribable. I mean, it's quite simply a wonderful thing.
You know, you couldn't put any better than that. We're going to let that dovetail perfectly into our next video, which is a look at the spirit and purpose of Pablove.
Every journey has its obstacles. For every movement, there's a challenge. In every fight, there's an opposition. We face an opponent that doesn't play by the rules. Our opponent doesn't care how young you are or how loved you are. Some think our opponent is unstoppable. We don't agree. That's why we ride.
I ride in the hope that children don't have to suffer from cancer.
I ride to heal.
Because I don't want to have any more kids endure what I did.
I ride for the love, for inspiration,
For research.
I ride for Kira, for my son Mark Caddis. I ride for kids and their future.
I ride to make a difference.
We ride in defiance. We ride in remembrance. We ride in opposition. We ride with love in our hearts. To us, this is much more than just a fight. To us, this is personal.
What a great video. I am so impressed. And that is leading me into some more really good news. $10,000 donation just came across the wire. Tina and Dickie Schwartz, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure that's going to put a smile on the face of our next guest. We are going to jump right in with DeMille Halliburton. DeMille, are you out there? There we are. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm here. I'm trying to get my face on the screen.
You just did. You look great. So, hey, it's good to see you riding. So, hey, I have heard a lot about your energy as well, my friend. And looking at you, I would have no idea, but they told me you weren't an expert rider. This is your first year. You're just getting into this. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, I'm a rookie. It's all because of Simon Lamb, who's a board member. I was involved with Pablove, but relating to a fundraiser around a tennis tournament for a few years. So I knew about the cause and I was all in, but I wasn't a cyclist at all. I'm an athlete, but I never dreamed and had the desire to be on a bicycle going 100 miles a day. And I sat down with Simon, and I don't know how he did it, but he talked me into it. Another buddy of mine, Mark Sasson, who's a cyclist, hooked me up with a cheap bike just to see if I would be really into it. And it just steamrolled. And I've been cycling since I started in April, right around my birthday. Started fundraising, and I've been cycling ever since.
I love that story. You know, it takes a lot of courage to do what you're doing, to get on a bike and you kind of expose yourself out there. Maybe not as much courage as the kids fighting cancer, but I'm going to give you a ton of credit. So did you reward yourself? You said you started with a used bike, and I appreciate that. I really do. But after a while, you start to appreciate it. Have you gotten a new bike out there?
Yeah, and I'm still trying to get myself on the screen. Hey,
you're perfect.
Yeah, through Pablove, I was able to get a deal on a cool bike, and the only catch was I had to pick it up in Santa Barbara, and I live in LA. So Mark, my buddy, who I also got to join to ride with Pablove, said, "Oh, well, why don't you do your first century?" It's like, what's a century? It's like, oh, that's when you ride 100 miles. We're like, what? So his wife and daughter drove us up to Santa Barbara. brought his bike with him. We met up and got my bike, and we rode all the way down to LA. I think it was 8 hours or something. But
That is the
like I
greatest
said,
maiden voyage.
and like I said, it happened so quickly, but it's been amazing. I have to admit that one of the main reasons why I wanted to start riding was I could wear tight pink outfits and have an excuse. Like, look, even my socks. Look at this. I can wear
You
tight
are
pink
on
outfits
brand.
and I have an
Yes.
excuse.
Well, you earned it, and absolutely, it is awesome to see you enjoying yourself. That's a big part of this. Your energy, I can feel it through the screen, Jamil. So let's talk about your strength then. Well, one of them is obviously courage, but fundraising. We've been talking with some of our other friends about that as well. It's an art and a science too. When you jump in with Pablove, it's a pretty high minimum fundraising, sort of intimidating, like riding a bike can be for some people, I would say. But what's your advice? What's your advice for someone just like you getting started in cycling, for them getting started in fundraising? Help us out.
That was one of the biggest hurdles mentally for me to join because it was a lot of money. But it's for childhood cancer. So it was right around my birthday. I posted on Facebook a fundraiser for my birthday and explained, what this was for, how passionate I was, and that I was a rookie. Like, I just got on my bike and I'm going to do this crazy 7 days, 600 something miles for this cause. And people just saw the passion and understood, and they knew me, and they were like, wow, if this guy's doing this, it's got to be worth my time and energy to really get involved. So I actually blew through that minimum fundraising in 3 days.
Wow.
So so it's all about the passion.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that when you truly believe in what it is that you're selling, it makes a huge difference. And in this case, you truly believe in these kids, and I love your energy, Jamil. Thanks a lot. We really do appreciate it.
You got it.
Keep up the great efforts out there. Having been a part of Pablove for several years, our next guest that we're going to be going to has significant peer-to-peer experience, to say the very least. I actually want to very quickly, we're talking with Jeff, and I'm hearing that Jeff is matching the next $5,000 donation. So again, this has just been an incredible day. But let's go back and check in with Blair here. I believe we have Blair ready to go, and there he is.
Hi.
Hey, Blair, how are you doing?
Again. It's been a long time, but I'm glad that we're back.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, actually, if you look at it, we've met some incredible people here in just the last 45 minutes or so. I'm really glad to be back with you, though. A perfect example there is DeMille, right? When you see he really, really has a passion for this, that absolutely must be the best starting point, right?
Yeah, and I think that, first of all, DeMille, I've ridden with you. You put it on me. You are a cyclist. You got to stop saying you're not. You are a cyclist. You're one of us. It's all good. Yeah, Dave, look, you hit the nail on the head. Anybody that you're going to meet on this program is incredible. Anybody that's ever touched this or participated in this is incredible. Truly one of the greatest joys of my life over the last 4 years has really been being a part of this family and growing this family. And now I have friends all over the world that share this passion and this love. And they're all like DeMille. They're all like Jeff. They're all like Paul. It's just a great group to be a part of.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we're going to start highlighting ways that people can become a part. I don't know that we'll all ever be as stylish as DeMille, completely kitted out in his Pablove stuff, but we've got great socks and T-shirts, and we're going to highlight that for you. But Blair, at the end of the day, it's a family. Speaking specifically in this case about Pablove across America, I honestly have never met a tighter group of riders. There's a vast array of organizations that hold rides, or even a Friday morning coffee shop ride. But something about what you're doing there, it must be because you're on a mission together. That's what I'm thinking.
You're absolutely right, Dave. Look, you know the cycling community. It is by its very nature a far more close knit community than many other athletic communities, than many other communities around the world. But then within that community is Pablove and the PAA community, and it is something special, man. And I know that those PAA riders are out there looking at me in my boudoir in this beautiful hoodie that you can get if you donate some money. Boys, ladies, I did ride my ride this morning. You can check on Strava or Zwift. I've already gotten it in, so don't you judge me. I don't want to see those texts. But yeah, man, it's every day that we get to be on a bike together. Every text I get from somebody through the rest of the year when I'm not on the ride with them, it just brings me a lot of happiness.
I want to clarify what I said earlier. Jeff is matching $5,000, not the next $5,000 donation. But doesn't that really speak to who he is when you hear about a guy donating to a foundation that he started? It's about that circle of continually giving back, whether it's your efforts, funds, or just support. Blair, this is amazing what's happening here.
Yeah, Jeff, Brian Bailey, Tina and Dickie, everybody that's going to do it anonymously. It's always appreciated. And yeah, it's a beautiful community. And if I can take a moment, Dave, I know we want to talk a little bit about fundraising, although DeMille and Paul have really just nailed it. But, another part of this, especially when you do an endeavor like PAA, are the sponsors that come along for the ride. And this would have been my fourth PAA. So I've had the opportunity to get to know a lot of the sponsors that have been along since before my time. And I just want to quickly thank them personally. Nixon for donating a ton of watches to this endeavor. Wahoo, I'm a fellow Wahhooligan myself, so it's always cool to see them participate. And then people that I've actually gotten to know on a human level. Peloton Magazine has been a part of this for a very long time. Brad and the team there are truly some of the most beautiful human beings I have ever met. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for you've given me in my life and my family's life. They're awesome. The folks at Velo Pasadena, Harach, Neverick, beautiful souls themselves. If you ever get a chance to ride with Harach, buckle up because that dude is a monster on the bike. Capo, Gary Vasconi. That's all I have to say about you, my man. And then Goo, Yuri, you're a legend. You keep us fueled. You keep us all happy. Just incredible sponsors, Dave, that come back year after year after year. There's so many things that they can put their time and energy and money into, but they keep coming back to this, man, because as you said a million times, it's truly a special thing.
It's interesting. A lot of times, Blair, rides get competitive, or there's an element of that. From everything I've heard and seen about Pablove across America, the competitiveness lies in the who can be the coolest and who can raise the most money for Pablove. But there's not really a sprint at the town signs as much as there's this just general effort all together now.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is a long bike ride. There are going to be those moments. But let's hit to 5-mile bike rides. The amount of athletic competition pales in comparison to all the other things that you just mentioned. The fundraising thing is a really big deal. It's a fun thing to challenge each other. Personally, I believe I have the honor of being the highest fundraiser for one singular year, which I know Jeff will inevitably beat me, or people like DeMille are going to just destroy that at some point. But it's fun every year to push each other. And a lot of people think, I love DeMille's story because I think that barrier to entry, it's really hard to ask people for money for that first time. But then the second you have a conversation with someone about childhood cancer and you see just how easy it is and how motivated they are to help you in your efforts. For me, 4 years, 5 years in, it's almost become, the numbers will fluctuate depending on people's situations and of course the world we're in at the moment, but it's easy to ask for help because we're doing it for the right reasons.
I agree. You're not asking for yourself. You're asking for these amazing kids. And yeah, it's as clear as that. I think a lot of times, Blair, people get hung up on that, asking for money themselves. They're not a beggar, but you're not. You're working, you're going to bat for these kids. I think Kirsten put it really, really well about just sort of putting it all in perspective. So, Blair, thank you. I can't wait to see you guys back out there and riding again in real person. Maybe the best way to put this is the laughs per mile. That's the highest ratio you're going to find with any group out there than with you guys. And you know what? I have to say, do you ever hang around with the Screamin' A's? Are you part of that crew? Or?
No, I am on a text message chain that's been going on for 4 years now that I'm getting text from right now. And if you can see, Screamin' A's is the actual title of the text message chain.
That's what it's all about, Blair. Your smile makes my day, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. So we now have the pleasure of introducing Sarah Wells, a PhD candidate and one of our master teaching associates and another brand new rider, actually, just like DeMille. Sarah Wells, who currently teaches in this fall's virtual Shutterbugs program. She's also a consultant to the program. She really touches all of the bases for us here. Her academic expertise, she's also an educational psychologist. It just goes on and on and on. Sarah, I am so genuinely appreciative of you. There's a lot to unpack. But first, just like DeMille, how did we get you as part of the family as a Pablove rider?
Well, I've been connected with Pablove for a number of years, but I learned about the cycling challenge on Strava, and so I had to, if you'll see, dust off my sweet steel bike, which I know we're all jealous of, and give it my best effort because I'm an athlete as well. I'm not a cyclist, as you can tell by my bike, but I'm doing my best and was happy to join Strava and start it off.
Sarah, you are the last person in the world that I'm going to allow to sell herself short, okay? That is 100% a bike. You are 100% awesome. And I just want you to know that, don't let your the bike brand or whatever define you. When you're out there pedaling, I think it's incredible. So, I think that's just great that you even find the time to get out there and ride with everything that you're doing. I heard that there's more than 100,000 people joining you on Strava. It sounds like a real movement. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's so awesome. A few of my friends have even joined on Strava, and I love to exercise and be outside. So I wake up at 5:15 and get 40 miles in before the day, and you just do it when you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a little bit of a different perspective with you here. You're around a lot of these kids that are fighting cancer. And so being so in the mix with them, talk to us. Some of the people are just learning about Shutterbugs right now. Talk to us about the impact that you see in person with the program.
Sure. I really get the pleasure of being with these kids and being their teaching artist and seeing them transform into walking in and having this identity of being this kid with cancer to, hey, I'm a photographer. And look at my work, and this is a new value that I can give myself. This is a new identity that I can uphold. And you really are giving them a chance to be a kid again, kind of stripping them away from their disease, because that's out the door. We're all on a level playing field in the classroom there. And for me, it's so meaningful because when I first got involved with Pablove in Palo Alto, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I saw the call for the teaching artist, and at the time I hold a bachelor's in fine art in photography, and I was a photographer for a number of years and teaching, and I was like, wow, I have to do this. But even more so because I could tell you the color of the curtains that those kids at Lucille Packard are looking at. They're baby blue with orange and yellow and green circles, and because I stared at them myself. I had an astroblastoma, and at 10 and 13 had surgeries. And here I even this is me at 10 years old, if you guys can see that. So wow. It's an incredible full circle for me, just to get to give these kids some confidence and be a role model for them and kind of just come in this whole full circle has been the most touching experience of my life, really.
Yeah, there's no question that I wonder, you didn't have a Shutterbugs program when you were going through that. Can you imagine the difference it would have made? I want to go back to what you were saying about that moment when you see that the kids have left their problems in and now moved into being kids again. Is that not the greatest thing that can happen right now for them in their world?
Oh, it's so valuable. You can't even put
It's priceless, isn't it? There's no medication that could ever do that for you. Absolutely amazing that you get to be a part of that. You also consult the program. So I guess it's one thing to be there harvesting the love, but it's another thing to help other people create their love farms out there. How has that been going, the consulting?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be a part of the advisory research board along with CEO Kirsten and a number of other academics from around the country. And we're working towards implementing an evaluation system for the program where we can measure some of these outcomes of quality of life measures. And we can look at these things with an academic lens to really be able to start to scale this program and hopefully reach more kids, but also contribute to this greater research good and be able to say like, hey, like, look what's happening here. We're actually measuring it and moving this research forward.
Yeah, as Kirsten was talking about the program going virtual, what a huge step forward, no doubt about it. You talk about the impact that Pablove has when you start to logarithmically increase that. This is a really great time for folks to get on board and support what you're doing by buying a sweatshirt, or maybe even better, buying one of the Shutterbug pieces of art. Is your house just plastered with Shutterbug stuff?
I've got a lot of art in there.
I bet.
Yes.
I bet. Well, everybody should. I think it's good for your karma. So, Sarah, I want to say thank you so much for what you do. Really appreciate you. So that's Sarah Wells. So as we say thanks to Sarah, we have an opportunity to take a look at another video showing us what it's all about here with the Pablove
and getting
Foundation.
to know all the other students that go through the same stuff as you.
It just created a sense of calm and tranquility.
This is my little brother. His name is Cash. I feel like a lot of people kind of treated me a little bit different just because I had cancer, but he kind of treated me the same.
The trees show how much strength you have. Some of them go up and some of them go down. It's basically showing you your way of life.
Oh, I love that.
Cancer for me changes your experience of time in a way that is really dizzying. Suddenly, you're aware of time being completely fleeting, but then it's also endless. The waiting is endless, like waiting for scans, waiting for blood work. I love what Shutterbugs does because we're arming them with objects that capture time and contain it and freeze it and hold it in a time that feels like you have no control over it. We're giving them the ability to control it. And I just think that's amazing.
For me, I like to take pictures of stuff that actually describes how I felt when I've been diagnosed with cancer. Like I would take stuffed animal that I got because that was the first thing I had to help me. Or I would take a picture of my family because they're the ones who helped me get through the journey. With photography, it keeps my mind busy so that I don't think about the pain that I'm going through during my treatment, so that I only have to focus on one thing, the photos and my camera.
"30 years ago, I would not have predicted that I would be sitting here talking to you today. When I was 16 years old, I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Then I just came out of it with this nagging question of, why isn't there a better way to do this? So that kind of drove me forward, I think, through my entire career. I think one thing that always frustrates me is when we get new patients and I go in the room and we have to start talking about all of the medicines we're giving them and how they're basically the same drugs that I got almost 30 years ago. And unfortunately, many of those patients will grow up as adults to have severe health problems that result from the treatments they receive as children. As a survivor, I've had a lot of these kind of late health complications myself.
So the way it works is that us shutterbugs take photos, and whatever money that we get from selling our photos are donated to the researchers to find a cure for childhood cancer. It feels good because I know that I'm helping someone as they help me. It's a one-for-one.
I think what they do is really, really powerful, and it's tangible. You see the looks on these kids' faces, you see engagement, you see change, and then you also see they're no longer victims. They're kind of crusaders, they're advocates for childhood cancer. I think that's huge.
Pablove actually changed my life because before I found them, I was isolated most of the time. I stayed inside my hospital room for a few months. I was shy at school because everyone was treating me differently. Shutterbugs gave me more confidence and led me to having more friends. They actually understand what kind of things everyone else is going through.
Being able to be a mentor and work with shutterbugs has been unbelievably empowering and important. I've had moments where I've been dealing with my own cancer while I'm also teaching. Be like, yeah, I know this is rough and I get it, and also let's just like take some pictures, you know?
Oh, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you.
The feeling I get is I feel really happy and excited because people are noticing what I've been doing, and they know like how much thought I put into it and how much feeling I've used. And it just feels really good.
You just keep me.
I think what they've done with this foundation is they've created a national family.
You're gonna reap just what you sow.
Welcome back, everyone. And I've got some more great news. A big thank you going out to Michael Promer for a $500 donation. And I see our colleague from Cadence, Gary Metcalf, who's also part of the PAA ride, donating $550. Thanks a ton, Gary. So as Sarah mentioned, the Strava Challenge, it's not too late to join. You might see Gary out there, actually. If you're interested, go on Strava and you can find Pablove Childhood Cancer Challenge. It's really easy to do. I hope that we get you involved there, as we are now going to jump down to New Orleans, Louisiana to find our man, Scott Galante. Scott is absolutely awesome. He's the chair of the Pablove Fundraising and Marketing Committee. Scott, I love your energy. I know you're out there riding all the time. You're a major force in the Pablove family, but I'm worried, man. I'm worried. You're smiling, but with no COVID, no Pablove across America, what are you going to do, my friend?
Well, it's funny. I just got off my bike actually about half an hour ago. Yeah, when they canceled the ride, obviously couldn't happen. I need that in my year. And I have a lot of funders that like to contribute to Pablove and see what I'm doing. So there's this 300-mile gravel ride that's 100% self-supported. And it's called the Delta Epic. My friend Jason Shearer puts it on. And we ride from essentially Memphis, just south of Memphis, Tennessee, to Jackson, Mississippi on gravel. The ride starts at midnight. and I got to either carry it on my bike or find it at a store on the way. But nobody's allowed to help me through it, and so I thought it was the perfect anchor for a good fundraising year for me to use that as my inspiration to raise some money.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. You know, interesting point there. Motivation to fundraise, or motivation to get up and start a ride at Dark 30, or even before Dark 30, right? These kids, I got to imagine that's what's always in your heart when you're out there. I mean, during these rides, is that something that runs through your mind quite a bit?
Oh, there's no question. You know, the first year I rode, I was riding with another rider, Vanessa Hauswald, and we were going up these hills, and it was just insane. And it was new for me. I'm from flatlands down here. And I just mumbled under my breath. I was like, you know, hills aren't cancer. It's so much easier for me, who doesn't have cancer, and I'm not fighting cancer, to get up every day and go ride for the kids that do and that are fighting that battle. And when I realized that only 4 cents of every research dollar goes to pediatric cancer, I want to make as many of those dollars count as I can.
It's interesting, isn't it, how your actions can really inspire others. And I really feel like you're just massively winning in that category, Scott. I just really appreciate you. And I know that you have made some friends as well. One of them named Addison. I think that, talk to me about meeting her and this experience.
Sure. And just so that before I start this, as an original Screaming A, we're going to get Addie to join us as well. I was.
How did I not know that you were a Screaming A? Of course you are, right?
Yeah,
you're the
Blair's
poster boy.
Right. Blair's text message was from me. I was given the good fortune of sitting down with Addie. I was so excited I could barely sit still. I still feel bad for the folks that had to edit that video. But she is a shutterbug, and she is also a force of nature and one of the most adorable children you've ever seen. And her support group, her unicorn warriors, really have helped her get through the fight. And what she's done, in my opinion, is put on a very, very brave face and decided that while she's in this fight, she's going to help others fight and try to spread the Pablove. So I got a chance to interview her and talk to her about it. And here's some of the best parts of it.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott. Let's roll the clip.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. So let's talk a little bit about you. Before we get to all the stuff about your fight and the Pablove and everything, I want to hear the story from the carpet. Tell me about the Golden Globes.
So I went to go, sign up, I guess, or something. Like, I had to get a pass. And it was cool because we got to see the parking lot. And then the parking lot was really cool because, I know that sounds weird. You're at the Golden Globes and you're not going to be like, oh, I get this person. But the parking lot was really cool on the first day because they have stairs inside the parking lot.
It's stairs inside the parking lot.
Yeah, it was weird. But then on the day, my favorite thing was meeting Sophia Carson.
Oh, it was Sophia Carson. That was your favorite thing.
She plays Evie in one of my favorite shows.
You got to spend that day on the red carpet, and you get to spend this day with me because you've got a story, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with that. Could you tell me a little bit about your story, about your cancer fight?
So, in 2018, we were going on a road trip, and my cousins, they were like little kids. So when I just started complaining, my mom's like, "Oh, you just want to be like them, stop it." And then I got really bad leg pains, and I couldn't play on the jungle gym. And then one morning, I just woke up with this bloody nose. And then we just kind of kept going. And then when we were at the movie theaters and stuff, I just couldn't stay awake, and I was really tired. So Mom's like, "Let's go get blood tests done when we come back home." And she got it done. And then we were at my friend's house for a sleepover. then the next morning we woke up and I didn't feel good at all. And then she got a call. She ran upstairs and said, "Okay, we'll get her ready." And I came home and it was and then they told us later on that day.
And so since then, you've been in treatment, haven't you?
Yeah.
And a little birdie told me that treatment ends this year, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right? Are you stoked?
Mhm.
Time to be done with it, huh?
Uh-huh.
So along the way, sweetie, didn't you find a program that kind of helped you get through it all?
Yes.
I want you to tell everybody about the Shutterbugs program, what it means to you.
So there's this room for kids who are really sick and they can't be around people. Like they were quarantined like everyone is now. So there was this special room, gloves, and then like books, and like this special room, and it's blocked off. So we went in there, we got a book, and then somebody was there. I think they're like, "Okay, this is your mentor," and I got Sophia, and she was the best because I got this tent and I did not want to leave it. And she just came in the tent with me and she just taught me.
And now somebody told me that now you're coming for us on Pablove Across America.
Yeah, I learned how to ride a bike with no training wheels, and I really want to just ride my bike. Like, I'm not quite ready for like Pablove Across America.
And I have read in a couple of articles some quotes from you about what you tell everybody about the Shutterbugs program when you meet them.
So when you just go and you meet your mentor, it's just magical because they're just so friendly, and they kind of know your situation. They know that you're tired, that you might want to just stay in your unicorn and take pictures of your stuffed animals. Like, they know that you're just tired. And then, like, once you just get to, like, stay with them and take pictures, it's just, like, a magical, happy place.
Because you are truly one of my heroes, and I mean that. I want to ask you, what do you want everybody to know about you and your fight?
I want them to know that I can beat this, and that if they live near me, they can all come to my drive-by when I'm done.
I can't wait to hear about the drive-by. Are you excited?
Thank you. Yes.
Addie, it has been a delight spending some time with you. Thank you for giving me a little bit of your time, sweetie.
You're welcome.
And you promise one day that we'll be riding bikes together, right?
I promise.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
That was awesome. It is so cool that this is now virtual. These once in-person classes can be available to so many more kids across the nation. We were in 7 Shutterbug cities, but I did want to show you, I have my very own 8x10 copy, and this very print will be sent to you if you donate now at the $60 level. So please donate. You know what? This might help. I'd like you to meet our friend Yasmin.
Hi, I'm Yasmin Layla, and this is my photo. It is called the Colorful Blanket, and you could donate $60 now, and you'll get one of these on your wall. And I'll even sign it for you. If you have followed my journey, you know that I want to be a singer, actress, model, and public speaker. So, now that you know what I want to be, maybe you'll see me on the big screen one time. Now, your donations go to kids who are fighting cancer and who need hope for their treatments and cures. Thank you, and have a great weekend. Bye!
All right, so we are trying right now to connect to our friend Alexa. I think we'll be able to get her online in a moment. But before we do that, let me remind everyone again about ways that you can get involved. first, I would love to see more folks out on the Pablove Across America ride. And I'm sure if you've been watching this is a group that you want to be a part of. There's that amazing energy there that I think so many of us are looking for in our lives. So we have some, you know what, we'll try to get back with Alexa. I apologize for some technical difficulties there, but now is a perfect time for me to talk about ways that you can show your love for the Pablove Foundation. I'm talking about a $25 pair of athletic socks. That's a good start, no doubt. Our man DeMille looked really, really good with all of his Pablove gear. There's a $40 Pablove t-shirt that's available. We have the Shutterbugs print that I've been talking about. This is so cool. You're going to be, every time you look at it on your wall, it'll remind you that you're involved in something very, very special here. And if you're a hoodie kind of person, as we're moving into that time of year for sure, well, you want that when you get off your bike at the end of the Pablove Foundation rides, as well as this incredible cause. Would love your support. So you can go and donate at pablove.org/challenge, or text For the Kids to 56512, or you can Venmo at the Pablove Foundation. So I hope that we're able to get Alexa back here. I know they're working hard to do that, but I would like to remind you as well, as we have Mari Holden out there riding on Zwift right now. She's got a bunch of our friends with her. And one of the things that is great about exercise is mental health. And it's all part of this process, isn't it? Improve your mental health. Get involved in helping kids with cancer. Well, one way that you can motivate yourself and look for accountability is getting on Strava. You'll be able to harness your fitness goals and fight childhood cancer with love. Does it get better than that? I don't think so. So let your commitment to well-being benefit the well-being of kids. I mean, when you look at someone like Yasmin and see how much this program means to her, it moves so many people to get involved. And one way you can really show that is flying the Pablove colors out on Strava. If you log 440 minutes of activity, you'll be fundraising to fight childhood cancer with Pablove, no doubt about it. And there's some cool stuff that you can win as well. So we have a few more guests that will be joining us here. I think that our man Todd Stashwick should be able to join us next. I'm not exactly sure, but there he is. Right
There he
on.
is.
Good to
There he
see you,
is.
Todd. I was worried you might be out running, my friend. You log a lot of miles for us at Pablove, but let me introduce you first. This is Todd Stashwick. Todd, well, if you look at it, I would say a Hollywood jack of all trades. That's for sure.
Okay.
Todd is an actor, a runner, right? That's falls outside of that, but also a fundraiser for Pablove.
Does it
but you
fall
do it.
outside of
Probably
acting is a
not.
marathon. Acting is a marathon.
So hey, first up, you run the LA Marathon, and I hear you do it with
I do
Pablove
the
in
half.
your heart.
I do the half.
The half.
Yeah, for
So-
Pablove. Yeah.
Well, beautiful. I want to thank you for getting involved. It's sort of one of those altruistic things, right? I'm sure you get an awful lot back when you meet these kids and see. Good.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's just one of. So I got involved because Blair, obviously, who he's just a guy you can't say no to. So once you are caught in the circle of Blair, you just find yourself doing things that you wouldn't normally think you're capable of. So I was running just for my health, and then there was this invitation from Blair and my friend David, who has run it as well, to run the LA half for Pablove, and it was a organization that struck near and dear to my heart. I have dear friends of mine from Chicago whose child lost their fight, and so the first year I ran, and the second year I ran while they were fighting, and I ran for them, and then the third year I ran in their honor. So it is the unimaginable, right? As a parent, I have two children of my own. As a parent, to get that news, I can't even fathom what that is. And so if I can run 13 miles to help make money to alleviate the pain, the fear, fund research, to fund the Shutterbug program. It is small. It is a small a small effort to hopefully great gains.
Yeah. It's really interesting, Todd, to hear you say that, because really completely different things. When you talk about Shutterbug program, that's about getting kids, their mind off of the cancer and let them be kids again. But then the other aspect of this money that you're helping fundraise is straight up science and getting the funds necessary to these researchers. I mean, I guess neither one is more important than the other. They're entirely different things. It's all part of a package. Can you talk about that, the art, the science?
Well, obviously the you know what, and they intermix because there is an art science. But as an artist myself, I understand that we are empathy machines. We generate art so that others can share in our experience, and so that we can express ourselves as actors, as storytellers, as photographers, as painters. This is what we do, and to give the kids an opportunity to show and celebrate the world by photographing it. Also, maybe eliminate their pain or fear through getting a hold of it through pictures. But then the other side of what Pablove does is it funds experimental research, and that money goes towards cutting edge to help get children out of this situation, help families realize that there is hope. There are people fighting the good fight to try and fix these terrible things that are affecting these children.
Yeah, hope, research. It's interesting. These are the key words that we really need to work from. And I just can't thank you enough for your voice. Now, I am going to go off script for a second, because the Pablove Across America folks, they want you riding with them. What is it going to take? We need to get you on a bike.
You know what? One step at a time. Right now I've been doing the marathon, which is like, I grew up like a little nerd in Chicago who never thought he would run a half marathon. So now I find myself doing that. So I'll never say never, and I'm sure Blair will find a way to hypnotize me into doing the bike ride, because he's so good at that. But I've done the half the last 3 years and raised some money to help this cause that I believe so passionately about. Yeah, but it's so funny. I'm not going to say I'm bike ride. I'm not ruling it out.
Well, good. You give us hope, then. Hey, Todd, keep up the great work. I really do appreciate you.
I'm humbled to be here.
That's our friend Todd Stashwick doing so interesting. When we talk about it, we really go from the art side of things to moving into the science side of things here. So I am more than honored to introduce to you someone with a very special relationship to the Pablove Foundation, Dr. Saro Armenian, the chair of the Pablove Scientific Advisory Committee and a Pablove board member at the City of Hope Comprehensive Cancer Center, where he is a pediatric hematologist, oncologist, and scientist. Dr. Armenian will be telling us about the Powered by Pablove research grants that provide funding so the brightest minds in pediatric cancer research that we're just talking about can find the next breakthrough. Please enjoy hearing from Dr. Saro Armenian.
Thank you, Dave. It's just such a thrill to be a part of this community of amazing, committed writers, philanthropists, donors, supporters who are really just working so hard for the mission of Pablove. Dave, as you mentioned, I'm a pediatric oncologist. I'm also a researcher, but more importantly, I am a very proud Pablove board member. I've been associated with Pablove now for nearly 10 years. As an oncologist, I see firsthand the power of healing that the Shutterbugs programs offer. I see firsthand the escape, but also the creative energy that spews forward from our kids who are going through some devastating treatments. So from the pediatric oncology community, we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to Pablove for its mission and its commitment. But as a researcher, our debt, the pediatric oncology research community, our debt to Pablove is really unmeasured. We know that there is a tremendous gap in funding for childhood cancer research. When only 4 cents out of every dollar of the NIH goes to childhood cancer research, that to me is just an inequity that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed urgently. Pablove has stepped into this void in a way that no other organization has. With more than $3 million of research funding from Pablove, that has translated to over $10 million of additional grant funding that has actually come to the pediatric cancer community. How does Pablove do it? Pablove does it by doubling down on exciting, charismatic, and wonderfully creative new ways of treating cancer. We double down by investing in young investigators. We double down by providing seed funding for the most promising researchers in the United States and beyond. We vet the science through an internationally renowned group of scientists. We pick the best of the best. And your funds support research that is going to fundamentally change the way we treat children with cancer today and tomorrow. So just rest assured that your funds are supporting a mission that will live on through generations. So on behalf of the researchers, the pediatric oncology community, as a pediatric oncologist and a board member, I want to thank you for your continued commitment to improving the lives of our most vulnerable children. Thank you for your dedication, and thank you for your support. It's a true honor to be a part of the Pablove mission, and it's a true honor to be speaking with you today. And I'll turn it over to you, Dave.
Thank you, Dr. Armenian. I am so grateful that you are on our side. It's not just people with great spirit. There's some great minds working really hard. So I really hope that you know that the funds that you donate are helping make that happen. Science. And it's so important. We are going to jump right in with our next guest, another amazing person, as I'm honored to introduce Lauren Bryant. Lauren, there she is. Hello, Lauren. Hey, let's just jump right in because this is your life. I'm going to imagine it never leaves you minute by minute, every day with these kids. Your unique perspective. Why is that research that Dr. Armenian was talking about so important?
So it is so important because when we look back, we know what we know about treating cancer from the research that's been done. We have high survival rates for pediatric leukemia because of the research. And I know from my personal experience over the 11 years that I've been at this job, this amazing profession, I have watched our neuroblastoma research improve survival rates in my career alone from around a 20-40% up to now a 40 to 60%. It's not enough, but that's the power of research. For brain tumor patients, we used to treat them exclusively with some high dose radiation. We could cure their brain tumors, but they were pretty much stunted at the developmental level at which they got their radiation. So now with the research that has gone into the chemotherapy and the blood-brain barrier, we're able to hold off on things like that radiation until maybe they're a little bit more developed. Kids under 5, we tend to not radiate. And that gives them the best shot at long-term survival with minimal neurocognitive side effects. That's the power that research gives us.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you hear about side effects because, first off, right now in this era that we're living in, straight up, I'm sure you hear it a lot, but you're a hero. You're a hero to all of us, not just these kids. That's for sure. So I want you to know that, as you're doing that work, that there's so many of us just stand in awe of what you're doing. But one of the things for you that I have to think is really tough is, again, being with these kids all the time. You see what the long-term effects of some of these process are. Can you talk about when you look at pediatric cancer treatment, long-term side effects? Seems like there's a lot to know there, and you know about it.
There's so much, and we're talking about affecting the endocrine system, the cardiovascular system, kidneys, and your liver. The treatments that we have, they're effective, but the side effects that cancer patients who underwent high-dose chemotherapies experience, they're lifelong, and they can be life-limiting. And that's why we need more research into developing. I'm very passionate about this. We need more research into developing different effective treatments that are less toxic for these kids.
Yeah, and it's interesting then, talking about heroes, I'm going to guess that Dr. Armenian is probably a hero to you and all the people working in that lab and those scientists, right? I mean, because they make it possible for you to do good work. Is there anyone that you must love more to see having good results than Dr. Armenian?
I think that as everybody has pointed out on this whole broadcast, it is a community and nobody fights alone. And we need those researchers. We are so desperate at the bedside. We're just chomping. We all want to be put out of a job one day because of the research has put us to cures. I was a baby nurse when Pablo was in treatment. So I briefly took care of him. And I remember following the creation of Pablove, the foundation. I remember watching the first Pablove across America and the tributes nightly. I took care of so many of the kids that were where they were talking about, and that had such an impact on me as a young nurse. So it just raised the spotlight. It made you feel like we weren't fighting alone. The researchers, the doctors, the nurses, that there was this whole community out there that was fighting with us. They were showing their love and support for a patient population that needs that and that is so special to all of us. I do get a little choked up every year when I see all the writers out there just raising awareness and funds for something that means so much to us. And then you combine that with Pablove's research model and it looking to out-of-the-box treatments and innovative thinking that we need to better take care of these kids, because cancer is not a new challenge. We just have to find new ways to attack it. So that's why I urge everybody to give to Pablove as much as they can.
Yeah, I mean, you put it so perfectly, Lauren. When you think about it, even though they're different things, it's all in that same purpose, the mission here. So the kids that have cancer, of course, we want them to be able to leave that behind for a few minutes using Shutterbug program. We want to make sure that Dr. Armenian is being funded where he can get the good work done. So honestly, what can we do out here? Is it as straightforward as just going and giving at pablove.org/challenge?
It's giving, it's being aware, it's knowing that this is happening, and we can and want to do better from all aspects, from supporting them, from wellness, and that's in a continuum. That's not just their physical wellness. It's not just their here and now saving them. It is their overall thing. So, and that's something that I think Pablove does support, and that's the message that they give to everybody.
I think it's so beautiful the way that Jeff, I mean, you had to have known the parents of Pablo as well as we're going through that process, and to see someone who so selflessly gives back. You don't ever hear Jeff talking about himself or the impact that it had on him, although it had to obviously be beyond tremendous. It's devastating, yet he just focuses on the good. And so do you, Lauren Bryant. I really, really appreciate having you out there on the front line for us. And just from all the kids, all the families, thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be hard not to cry throughout the day here today, because these people are making a difference. They're not just talking about it, they're doing it. And I think that that's so special. So as we say thank you to Lauren for doing all that she does, we're going to go now and jump in with a couple more friends, long-term friends and generous friends as well. I mentioned at the top of the show some of the donations that we had coming in, and Naveen and Crystal threw $2,500 into the well for us here, the well of hope, I would say. And there they are. This is the Viswanta family. Good to see you, Naveen and Crystal. So obviously, kids can benefit from the now virtual Shutterbugs program that for the first time ever is available for kids all over the place, not just at the 7 cities where it was available. So that is a big, big change for us. We heard from Dr. Armenian and Nurse Lauren, but now I am so happy to have Naveen and Crystal with us. So, hey, you two, I'd love to hear the story of your journey. Let's start there. I don't think there's a better place. How did you get involved?
Hey, you want to take this? Sure. Our journey began 10 years ago. We heard those words, your daughter has cancer, words that no parent wants to hear. And our daughter Kira was diagnosed with a really rare cancer called neuroblastoma. It's a cancer of the nervous system. And that cancer sparked even rarer autoimmune disease called OMS. So if that sounds a little confusing, it really was. With the double diagnosis, we really didn't know where we fit in, both with neuroblastoma and OMS. They're both so rare. There's no playbook, not a lot of information or support for parents, definitely not a protocol for us to follow. Furthermore, it was really devastating to find out there was no research being done. And we didn't know what the path forward would look like for Kira. Thankfully, 10 years later, she's doing well. She's still on treatment, but she's 11. She's enjoying virtual 5th grade this year with her friends. But as parents, I think it's just really scary that you realize that you might know more or as much as the doctors do with these rare conditions. And in the moments of being diagnosed and trying to figure out what our path forward was, you have to make that decision if you're going to accept it or if you're going to try to do something to change the outcome. And so early on, we really, had a lot of conversations and made that decision that we would do whatever it would take to fund research specifically to better understand the disease. And, since Kira's diagnosis way back in 2010, we've been raising money for OMS research, and the Pablove Foundation is a huge part of that for us.
Naveen, it was really nice to see you smile when virtual 5th grade was mentioned. I have a feeling that for you, all of these landmarks are way more significant than they might have been had you not been on this journey. It seems like you must be so proud to see, you have 2 kids, I should mention as well, Akimi, as well as Kira. You must be so proud to see them checking these boxes that for so many kids and parents would just be normal, but you guys are not only surviving, but you're thriving, it sounds like there.
Yeah, very much so. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's, checking these boxes, as you mentioned, we don't take it for granted, right? Every milestone, every developmental milestone, every small milestone, whether it's, your first school play or, riding your bike for the first time, all of those things, there was a point, during this journey, as Crystal mentioned, 10 years ago, when we didn't know if these were even, part of Kira's path. And so, that makes it all the more precious and just makes us more grateful for all of those little milestones and the big milestones that we've encountered along the way.
Yeah, there are a lot of organizations out there that work in this realm. I'm curious, and I know that you have become a big part of that family, and I think that's the perfect word. It might be overused, but when you talk about Pablove across America, there is a bond there that is much tighter than I have seen at the Elks Club or anywhere else. Something about what you guys are doing is really, really different. So how did you end up choosing Pablove?
Yeah, so as Crystal mentioned, there was no research really being done 10 years ago. And, we decided that we were going to change that. We didn't know how. We had talked about, starting our own foundation. We were also in this really awkward place because, we had this cancer diagnosis, we had this autoimmune diagnosis. And so other organizations that we called up that we wanted to try to work with to specifically raise research dollars for the condition that our daughter had. We just never fit in. And so we were looking to work with an organization, and we
happened upon the Pablove Foundation, and I remember reading on their mission statement or on their webpage about how 2/3 of childhood cancer survivors live with ongoing chronic issues and illnesses, and that really connected with us because, up until that point, we had never even heard that being acknowledged, and that's quite literally this kind of middle ground that we were living. And so I reached out, and we set up a designated fund, and that's the fund that we have with the Pablove Foundation, and through that fund we actually fund research grants specifically for OMS, this chronic ongoing issue that our daughter deals with as a result of the cancer.
Really interesting when you look at it. Do your kids realize how involved you are in fighting the disease as well? Or what is that relationship like? Because I have to think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but when you two are around the Pablove community, you're incredibly upbeat, positive. It's a really cool, fun thing. But there's a side of this that isn't fun, the cancer side, that's for sure. Do the kids get the work that you're doing, or do you shield that from them?
That's a good question. I don't think we've ever shielded them from it. Honestly, I think we've always been very open about our journey with our community, with our friends, and obviously through fundraising with Pablove. It's something you have to be open about, to a large degree. And so I think for many years, Kira didn't fully understand what we were doing, but she's of age now where she fully grasps it and probably has for several years. And her younger sister too, Akemi, she's had to be there for her sister as well. And when we've done Pablove in the past, we often talk about how both of them have been on this journey. Her younger sister having to go to all the doctor appointments, having to see her older sister endure, these treatments that they don't make you feel very good. Going and getting your blood drawn every month or every a couple months isn't very fun, right? And so they've both been a part of this journey. And I think a couple of years ago, was it 2017 or 18? We actually brought them along PAA, and we traded off. Yeah. Where one day, Crystal would be with the kids, and then go to the next hotel and help the staff set up and get prepared for the incoming riders. And the next day I would do that, and then Crystal would ride. So they've actually been more involved in the last couple of years, and I think it's actually been a great opportunity for them to learn about this, but also feel like it makes something positive come out of what has been challenging.
I hope you guys realize what an integral part of this community you are. We share some mutual friends who reached out to me and just said, these are the best people. So know that you're loved, and thanks for all that you do.
Thank you, guys.
So that's
it's great to be part of the community as well. We love seeing everybody. We love seeing all the riders, and we miss everybody. Can't see them this year, but seeing everybody on social media, this has been fantastic, and hopefully we'll catch some folks on Zwift soon.
Good. Thank you, Naveen and Crystal. So, hey, they make some great points there. There's no question that funding the scientific research is critical, and we need your help. In one thing that you can do here is help yourself look great too. We have some really cool, I think that the graphic design people at Pablove do such an amazing job, and this is a good look at, check out that logo. Defeat makes the best custom socks, and for just a $25 donation, there's your pair. We have the Pablove t-shirts that I am sure will be in high demand. Our friend Yasmin and all of her colleagues are just making some amazing art for us with the Shutterbug program, and you can get your own 8x10 print for a $60 donation. And then as it starts getting colder here in North America, a Pablove zip-up hoodie for $80, and you will be the most stylish hipster in your neighborhood. So all donations of $15 or more will receive an annual digital subscription to Peloton magazine. I absolutely love Peloton, and they've been a tremendous supporter of ours. So a lot going on, but I certainly do want to thank all of our friends that have been out there on Zwift today. And it sounds like Roy Nickman one of the stars of cycling in the 80s and 90s. Roy rode the Tour de France multiple times. He's an Olympic bronze medalist, part of the team time trial team in LA. And also, Roy is a father of Emma. And Bo's a firefighter. Emma is a cancer survivor. She's been fighting cancer now for, boy, Roy, I'll have to ask you. I know that she's had, I believe, 7 relapses over more than the last decade. You have been on quite a journey there. Thanks for joining us, Roy Nickman. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. So let's talk about that. We've heard, just hearing from Crystal and Naveen, being a parent of a child who's fighting cancer, very, very unique period in one's life, staying supportive, rallying those around you. Talk to me about your experience, Roy, and maybe how Pablove would have been really nice to have around.
My experience was 0 to 100, and I go hard. That's my nature, but it was shocking from a CT scan that before Emma was out of the machine, the technician said, "Get ready to go to your doctor." And an hour later at the doctor, them saying, "You need to go home, pack your bags, and head to Children's Hospital, and we'll call you with details." Super emotional. What is happening? Your child wondering what's happening. We stayed 22 days, our initial stay, figuring out what the cancer was, surgery, chemo. We made it 2 days at home before neutropenic fever set in and we were back. And then we're on a treatment plan in the first 8 months of 68 individual days of chemotherapy, then followed by radiation. Actually in the middle of it, a surgery to remove the tumor, which was in her femur, and have her leg rebuilt. It was just the most, it was just an unbelievable journey. Shocking.
Yeah, we are at the, I can only imagine, Roy. It almost seems like you go from one life into another life. There's no phasing out. It just dramatically changes. So for everybody wondering, P Foundation, that avatar is Roy Nickman. Roy will ride under it, Mari Holden. We have a few friends. Katie Hall, another professional cyclist that's a friend of Pablove Foundation. So today it's Roy, but we'll have rides quite often where you can jump in and be a part of that family. So Roy, going back to that, for yourself even, I know that mental health and exercise go hand in hand. We've talked a lot about how the Shutterbugs program helps kids who maybe can't get out and ride their bike right now, at least go to another mental place. Can you talk about how important Pablove Foundation is from the kids' perspective? I know you're not a kid with cancer, but you certainly know what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. The programs that they have, the Shutterbugs program, it gives the kids purpose during this time when, they're in pain. They're asking their parents, why me? What is my life going to be like? Having a program to where you have something to focus on, where you can be a star. They do these gallery showings, which are amazing, featuring the kids at these galleries. At least before it was virtual, that's what they were doing. You saw Addison ended up, I believe, at the Golden Globes, getting to be, have this life, this exciting life, just tremendous stuff. And then going on to the research, Emma's cancer, they said when Emma was diagnosed and they saw how bad it was, it had already metastasized, they said, hey, we're sorry. I mean, that was their statement after they figured out what it was. They were sorry because there were 2 known treatment routes for this cancer that 300 kids a year in the US get. And having this seed money, this grant money that Pablove generates and gives out is instrumental for these cancers that are obscure, but critically important to solve the puzzle. So for this organization, the statistic has been said, 4% of NIH's cancer research money goes to pediatric cancer. Well, Pablove can change that in a meaningful way by having more donors and being able to give more grants to this cutting edge research that, isn't business economically feasible because of the small number of patients and the amount of drugs that a big company would be able to sell. So, hugely important, both sides of Pablove.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. So again, you can see how important it is that we hit all of these different metrics out here, getting support to the scientists, getting kids stoked up again, and getting everybody motivated to fight here is exactly what Pablove is all about. So thank you, Roy. Really appreciate you jumping in today. Again, look for more rides in the future with Roy and Mari and Katie with using, go ahead and follow Pablove Foundation on Swift. So, hey, some more good news coming through is I am hearing the Dropkick Murphys are jumping in with a $5,000 matching donation. Huge thank you to them. A lot of us are big fans, and it means a lot that you're involved. John Bennett, John, awesome. $1,000 coming in from John. I see that Jerry and Gina Karcher have just donated $2,000. Thank you two so much. And the Robert McRae Jr. family, a $4,000 donation coming through. So all of the work that we're talking about is going to be funded because of your support. We are moving the needle today, people. This is absolutely awesome. So we're going to go back and check in again with our friend Yasmin. Please enjoy.
Hi, everyone. Well, my name's Yasmin Layla. I'm 9 years old. I'm working really hard to become a singer, actress, model, and public speaker. I've been doing speeches for Pablove for almost 2 years, and I couldn't be more grateful for all they do for kids like me. I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia at 3 years old. I was in a bubble, as many of us are doing now with COVID. But it's simple for many of us just to wear a mask and wash your hands. Many will never know how it feels to go through cancer and how fast life changes for the patient, but also for the family too. During quarantine, it feels like I'm in a bubble again, because we're at home and we're stuck inside. When I was going through cancer, I didn't go anywhere. The only people I got to see were my family. They were always supportive with me. It was a hard time, but my mommy always said, there is light at the end of the tunnel, even if you don't see it. I am a Pablove Shutterbug sweetheart. I joined this organization in 2017. I love taking pictures. It's like my go-to thing. My favorite views are worm's eye, bird's eye, and my favorite is candid photos. It's when you take a picture without the person knowing. Shh, it's secretive. I am an ambassador for kids like me who are either still fighting for their life or who are cancer-free. Thank you for all the doctors and donors who are keeping this organization going and keeping it strong. Just remember a few things for just to go on in life. Be happy, be bright, and be you. And always be kind, because you never know what fight someone's gone through. That's it.
That is exactly why we are here. I fully expect Yasmin to win an Academy Award someday. What an inspiring look at how critical today's mission is. Blair, I love your smile. Let's bring back Chair Blair here for some final thoughts. Blair, it's been quite a day. Let's reflect back on what we've learned. I feel like we've made some progress here.
Yeah, I want to quickly point out too, Roy Nickman just casually holding like a 3.5 to 4 watts per kilo while he talked to you just really highlights the difference between a professional athlete and guys like me. What a
I
great
relate,
guy.
Blair.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's really impossible if you watch what you've put together today with the team and the team has put together and not want to get involved. I know, this has been a 2-hour stream. So kind of my final thoughts for the day are I would encourage anybody that's watching or has watched this to share it with your friends. And I know asking people to watch 2 hours of anything is really hard. So if I can make a suggestion, just pointing out the Addison interview and everything Yasmin has done, if you just show anybody those things and those children, that is why we do what we do. And my hope is that you can watch those parts and share those parts and then ask yourself how you can get involved. And we have many ways you can do so.
Yeah, and there is no doubt that I think we closed the circle here today as well, because it's a lot to take in at first when you look at, okay, kids have cancer. I get that. But what are we doing here with this? It's a bike ride? No, not at all. It really is interesting, Blair, how deep this goes when you look at the bond between human beings who are all on the same side in an epic battle. Cancer obviously is quite an adversary. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
We're going to need everybody. And so I think, Blair, you hit the nail on the head, right? The best thing we can do besides give ourselves and get involved is try to get other folks involved. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. And I can tell you, if you're concerned about it, I have, as Todd mentioned, and he was very kind in my sales abilities, I'll just say that it's not hard, man. I have like 100% success rate with anybody I've put in front of this organization. They immediately want to do something. So please share and connect and let's grow this family.
Yeah. Thank you, Blair. So again, I know that a lot of folks are going to be motivated, right? You watch the Tour de France and next thing you know, you want to get out on your bike. Well, you watch this 2 hours, meet people like Yasmin, Addison, and it's going to inspire you to want to do some good. So let's act on that right now. I would love to see you getting on and joining us, hop on your Wahoo and ride with us indoors on Zwift, on Strava, go outside, go for a hike, go for a walk with your family. I don't know if you heard, but Robert McRae Jr.'s family donated $4,000 just a few minutes ago. Yeah, I mean, I just love knowing that these people are coming together on this mission. Simply, you can make yourself look cool, get some socks. We have the $25. That is a drop in the bucket when you think about the karma rebate that you're going to get, because those socks are going to protect you against evil. I would say, I can't promise that, but I feel pretty good about that statement. The Pablove t-shirt is extremely cool, well designed. You're going to love it. There's our friend Yasmin. You can see that 8x10 print. And of course, Blair, I think you might even have that super cool hoodie on right now.
Yeah, check it out. I promise you too, if you donate the 80, I think we'll even send you one in your size instead of one that's
I think that's the style now in some communities. So
casual comfort, my man.
Well, great. So, Blair, thank you. Please thank all of your colleagues back at Pablove as well. It was Austin having Kirsten with us today as well. So, Blair, it's been an amazing day for all of our friends at the Pablove Foundation, Zwift Community Live, and of course, Cadence Sports. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. We'll see you out there.